This conference will now be recorded.
Great. And I hope I'm audible to everyone, even in the back. Good enough?
Yes.
Everyone, does everyone have an issue there? Or are you all able to hear me? Yes, no. This is
Yes,
yes,
yes.
and this is
On
no. Yes or no? Are you able to hear me? Okay.
Yes.
You can,
Yes,
yeah.
yes, everything.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yes.
that question was for the offline class. Okay, great. Let's come in. Okay, great. Is it okay now for you? Great. Cool.
Oh, it's okay. Kiran.
Yeah, thank you. So, just to recap what we were doing the other day, is that we were just going over the, let's say, the demo session, and we were telling what really is Azure and what are the perks where you get when you choose Azure over, let's say, the other cloud, and all those things out there. Let's start with the actual cloud today. Let's say the actual cloud from today out here. And I said that you can do a lot of things with Azure. You said, okay, fine, you can host your code, you can store things, it's a data storage and all these things out there. In order to do all these things, I need some or the other link or some or the other software to, let's say, interact with Azure, right? Because Azure now is a cloud and I need to start working with the cloud right now. So the first link that I'll visit inside Azure to begin my journey with Azure is called portal.azure.com. This is the interface what Microsoft allows you to, let's say, interact with a cloud called Azure and start your journey with the same thing. Again, in order to, let's say, interact with this, just like any other, let's say, portal, or just like any other portfolio, you'll need a login credential, like an ID and a password. So let's say I don't have one. I want to create one because most of y'all wouldn't have an account with Azure. Yes, someone has a question. Yes.
Sir, excuse
So
me,
now,
sir.
Bina,
Sorry for the interruption. Have you shared the screen, sir?
I'm sorry.
Have you shared the screen?
Your
It's
screen
not
is not
visible.
visible.
I am sharing the screen. Uh, is everyone not able to see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay, then.
I'm able to
Yes.
see. Yeah.
Yes,
I'm
sir.
So
able to
guys,
see.
one request
Yeah,
for
no.
people who, yeah, who are not able to see, sometimes you'll have to, let's say, drop and then rejoin the session so that you can hear my audio and see my screen out here. So yes, thank you for confirming. Okay, great. All right. So this is the page that you actually visit, or this is the link called portal.azure.com that you actually visit in order to go ahead and, let's say, start interacting with a cloud called Azure. And to start your journey with, let's say, Azure, just like any other, let's say, subscription, just like any other program or any other portfolio, you will need an ID and a password, meaning some kind of a credentials that you can start your journey with. So I don't have one. Most of you all can't, may not have one. So let's go ahead and, let's say, create one. So I have a button called create one there. I'm now telling create one. It's now asking, let's say, someone at the rate example.com. Now you can either take your existing Gmail account and integrate it with portal.azure.com. That's an option. Or if you want to, you can also go ahead and create a new address out here. I already have a Gmail account. So let's go ahead, get my Gmail account out here.
Excuse me.
So go ahead,
Uh,
please.
uh, I am unable to see the screen.
Can you
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
please
are
just
also
drop
give
off?
unable to see the screen.
Actually, after the
Yes,
reconnecting also we are facing the same.
Yeah, we are not able to
Uh,
same
see the
problem,
screen.
sir. We are not visible.
okay,
Still
let's
not
move
able
on.
to
Let's
able to see your screen. Still, we log in, relog in also.
okay. Just give me a
Yeah,
second. Yeah, just give me a second. I'll just let's see if there's an issue at my end. Just give me a second out here. Okay, let me try. Sorry, let me try resharing my screen back again. Let's come back once again. Let's try this out. Is it good now?
Now
yeah,
it's
now we are good.
working.
Yes,
Okay,
good. Kiran.
Yeah,
great.
can see now.
Okay, cool. So, okay, just coming back. This is what I was telling is that if you now need to start using Azure, the link is portal.azure.com. This is the link that you go for. And as in when you go here, Microsoft will ask you that, you need an ID and a password or some kind of a credential to start working with me. And I will say, I don't have one. So I'll create one. And this is where I was telling that you can either integrate your Gmail account, your existing Gmail, Hotmail, Outlook, whatever it is with portal.azure.com, or you can go ahead get a new, let's say, email address with, creating a new, let's say address, or you can use your phone number and create an account with Azure. In my case, I already have a Gmail. So I'm just pasting my Gmail account out here, which is this test email that I have. So I just created a Gmail account for this particular, let's say, test purpose. And I will say next. As in when I do a next, it's telling, you will have to enter a password. You'll have to create your first password. So let me go ahead, create a password out here. So I'm creating an ID. I already have an ID. I'm putting that ID out here. I'm creating a password and I'll say next. Now it's telling, you'll have to verify your email. Meaning just like any other, let's say, program or any other portfolio, it's just asking you for a verification. So let's go here into, let's say, mail.google.com. And let's log into that particular email. So this is my email address. So let's log in here and let's understand how the code looks like. So let's copy this out. Let's come here, paste it out here. And I'll just log into this. So all I'm doing is logging into my Gmail account, which I'm using to integrate with Azure. And you will get something like this, telling that please verify your email to finish setting up the account. And you have a code 0317, just copying this code out, coming here, putting this code here. I'll say next. So all I'm doing is a mail verification. And after a mail verification is done, this is now a very standard practice for every website to verify whether you're a robot or not. So let's go ahead and say next. It's selling pick a parrot. Where is a parrot here? Yeah. And done. So I picked an image and now I'm going ahead and creating an account with Microsoft Azure. So this is the procedure that you need to follow when you go ahead and create an account. So what did I do out here? Just to do a quick recap is that I went into a website called portal.azure.com. This is the link what I visited, inside which I am now telling that, I don't have an account, so I'll create one. So I'll say create an account. I already had a Gmail. I took that Gmail and I'm integrating with Azure. So Gmail integration. And as in when I did that, I got a code to my email address. I got some code out here, some random code. I picked that up and I am now into Azure with this particular email address called something, and it's telling add your name and all these things. So this is the first time setup with Azure. So this is how the portal, or this is how the Azure portal will actually look like. This is all, you have random options and all these things out here. Now here's the catch. The very first thing that gets created. So you had your ID. So I am using a local machine, my own local computer. And I went into the internet, typed in portal.azure.com, created an account with Azure. I am calling this an account. Azure is calling this as a tenant. What you call as an account, Azure calls this as a tenant. Now, one quick question for everyone, guys, is that where did you hear this terminology called tenant? Tenant? Commonly, when you pay a rent to a house, it's a tenant.
Yes, yes.
For Azure,
Yes.
also, you are a tenant, meaning you're not buying anything in the cloud, you're renting a service. You're renting some services on the cloud. So when we were looking yesterday, we were telling instead of buying all these servers, you can rent it out. So Azure now is treating you as a tenant, and Azure is giving you something called as a tenant ID. This is the first thing that you are, let's say, or you get when you, let's say, register yourself with Azure. So in my case, if I want to look at my tenant ID, I'll just go into a service called Azure Active Directory. We'll talk about what this is, what Azure Active Directory and all this is. But let's go here. And as and when I go here, I will get something known as a tenant ID out here. So once this loads, Yeah, this is fine. And once this gives me something, let's go ahead and look at what I get here. Let's just a second. Okay, good. Okay, not a problem. So if you look at this, I have something called as a tenant ID out here. So Azure randomly assign me some random number out here. And whenever I log into Azure using this particular account, I'm logging into the Azure tenant. I'm not logging into the Azure account. In a technical terminology, I'm logging into this particular ID of, let's say, Azure. So this is how Azure identifies one user and the other. This is how it separates between different users as such. So this is the first thing that got associated with me, which is a tenant ID. Again, guys, if you're not speaking, can you please go on mute? Thank you. So this is my tenant ID. I'm just placing my tenant ID out here. This is how it looks like. Each and every tenant ID is unique. It is unique in nature, meaning this alphanumeric will change for each and every one. So this is the thing that I have. So right now I have an Azure account. So I created an Azure account. As in when I created an Azure account, I didn't do anything. Microsoft went ahead and said, you know what, this is your tenant ID. Give me a tenant ID right now. Now I'll ask Microsoft that, you know what, yes, I created an account with you. Can I now start using Azure? Microsoft says, you know what, hold on. You cannot really, let's say, use the account yet, meaning you cannot really go ahead and use my services. It's something like Prime Videos. Does everyone have an account with Prime? Like, or does everyone use something called Prime Videos out here? So here's my question for you all is that you have an account with Amazon. Can you go ahead and, let's say, directly watch Prime Videos, or do you need something else? You need a subscription, right? Same way for Azure also,
Yes.
you will need a subscription with Azure. A tenant just gives you a space, but a subscription will actually go ahead and let you use the services of Azure out here. So under a tenant, you need to create something called as an Azure subscription. So tenant, I directly got it. Subscription is something that I need to create. Now, when I say I need to create a subscription, there are two questions that come up. Is firstly, how do I create a subscription? Secondly, what subscription do I create with Azure? So firstly, let's go ahead and answer the first question on how do I create a subscription. This is the home page. This is how it looked like. Scroll down, you have something called subscriptions. Just go ahead, click on this one. And as of now, like, I don't know why, but this portal is a little slow today. Let's try to refresh this out. As of now, it says you don't have any subscriptions. So you cannot really use the portal. It just tells you, you know what, you just have a space, which is called a tenant. But without a subscription, you cannot go ahead and use anything. So I'll say, okay, fine, add a subscription. And right now it's telling there are two types of subscriptions that I offer to you. One is called a free trial. The other is called a pay as you go. Let's understand what these two are. So this brings me to another concept called the types of subscriptions out here. And very popularly, you have something called free trial and you have something called as a pay as you go. So free trial and pay as you go are the two types of Azure subscriptions that are generally available, meaning you have much more types of subscriptions. We'll talk about that, but the most popular are these two things out here. Let's talk about free trial, which is something that we will have to create as a students of Azure. When we try to practice this out, we will have to create a free trial subscription with Azure out here. So to create a free trial subscription, you will need some details. Azure is going to ask you details like your name, email ID, and very importantly, credit card information. To create a free trial subscription with Azure, you will need a credit card out here, and Azure will authenticate your credit card. Meaning when you give your credit card details, Azure is going to charge you 2 rupees on your credit card to see whether your card is valid or not, and then assign a subscription to you. So how do you do that is something like this. So I came here into subscriptions and I said add a subscription. As in when I said add a subscription, I'm studying start free, or I'm just clicking on this button called start free out here. As in when I do that, it's now telling that, you know what, you can sign up with Azure right now. You can start free with this particular, let's say, portal. And it is now giving me a page where I can fill multiple things out here. Very firstly, it's asking me what is my country. Secondly, it's asking me what is my name. I'll say it is Azure, last name is DevOps. Scroll down, it's asking you for a phone number. You'll have to give your phone number here. And as and when you give your phone number, you can say text me or call me. You will get a code to your phone. Okay, as and when you give a phone number out here, you will get a code out here. So let me go ahead, give my phone number out here. Let's say this is one number that I use. I'll say text me out here. And as and when I do that, it's going to assign a code. Guys, can you please calm down a little? Thank you. So as and when I do that, let's come here. Okay, this is gone. Great. So let's do this DevOps and yeah, fine. So it's really not asked me for authentication and all these things out. And a couple of things out here like the PAN ID and all these things. PAN is not mandatory. It's optional. You can leave this field. Organization still optional. You can just go ahead and say something like Microsoft. Still optional, not really needed out here. Address, just say Hyderabad or something like this. State, whichever state that you belong to, whichever state that you are creating the subscription from. Just click on these two agrees. Let's say next. Okay, postal code. Let's say some postal code random thing. Let's go ahead and say next. And this is where it will ask you to verify yourself with a card. Again, it's now telling me you're not eligible for your Azure subscription because my phone number is associated with a lot of things out here. But in your case, you will now get a screen wherein it will ask you for your credit card information. And once you have entered your credit card, it will take you to a vendor page, to your bank page, wherein it will ask you to enter your OTP and it will charge 2 rupees for you. As and when you do that, as and when your credit card is valid, you will give or you will get something called as a subscription under this. You will have a subscription in yellow color. It will now tell you that it's a free trial subscription that's got associated with your account out here. So it will now tell you that it's a free trial subscription that gets associated with your account. So in order to create a subscription, just in a nutshell, you will have to, let's say, click on this say free trial, sign up for Azure subscription, go ahead, give details like your phone number, and it will give you a text message or a call to your phone number. You'll get a code, put that code here, and then finally you'll have to go ahead and identify yourself with a credit card. And all the bank credit cards like Visa, MasterCard, all these are accepted. Earlier, Azure was also supporting debit before 2019, but there was a lot of, let's say, increase in the rate of the subscription, let's say Azure is, let's say, offering. That's where Azure said, I can only give you, let's say, subscriptions over a credit card. The popular questions can be that, what is the limit of this particular subscription that gets assigned to you? When I'm talking about a free trial, what is the limit of a free trial subscription that gets assigned to you? Again, the limit of a free trial subscription is that the free trial subscription is valid for the first 30 days. Let's say you created today, the subscription is valid till, let's say, the 17th of May, 30-day period from whenever you create it. As and when you create a free trial subscription, Microsoft is going to give you somewhere around 14,999 in the form of credits. These are called Azure credits. So when you create a subscription, you get this. And when you use the subscription, Azure will deduct from these particular credits out there. So whenever you use every, let's say, service on Azure has a rate, has a charge. So that charge is deducted from this particular subscription. Then the question is, what happens after 30 days? Will my credit card get auto charged? No. Azure subscription will be disabled after 30 days. So there is no auto renewal. There is no auto charge for now. So Azure will not do an auto charge as such. So the subscription is valid for 30, 14,999 in the form of credits. And after 30, it's going to get disabled. You are not going to be auto charged out here. Any questions still here, guys? Anyone, any questions still here?
Kiran, free trial limits.
Free trial limit is 30 days. That's the limit out there, and you have a 14,999. Apart from these two, there is no real limit for a free trial as such. There is no limit for a free trial as such. You can use a maximum of about 14,999 in the form of credits, and you can use it for a maximum of 30 days. After this, it's going to get disabled. Then after this getting disabled, can I also go ahead and create one more free trial? No, unfortunately. On a credit card, on one credit card, Azure as of now is only giving you one free trial. There is no another free trial. You cannot go ahead and create one more free trial at the same credit card as such. If you would observed, when I gave my number, it's now telling it's not eligible. So even for a number, for an ID, there's only one particular free trial that is associated as such. Yes, any questions, guys? Anyone? Any questions here? And once you have, let's say, a subscription, now this is my account. This is what I use in order to, let's say, do a lot of demos. And if I go into my subscriptions out here, let's go into my subscription. Let's say subscriptions. I have an active subscription out here, which is called as a Visual Studio Enterprise subscription, which is normally given to trainers and all these things out. In this place, you will see something called a free trial, and you will have a unique ID to your subscription, just like I do. So you'll have a unique ID that is associated with your subscription, just like I do. So you will have a tenant ID, and you will have one more thing called as a subscription ID that comes into picture, as in when you have a subscription with Azure. Okay. Any questions till here, guys? Anyone? Anything till here? Anyone? Any questions till here?
Hi, Kiran. Actually, when I was creating, it said that free trial would be for 12 months. Is it
I'm sorry,
valid
can
or
you please come
it's
again?
only for 1 month?
I'm sorry, can you please come again? I didn't get your question.
So basically, I created it yesterday. So it said that
Okay.
the free trial would be for 12 months. Is
No,
it
free
true or
trial is
is it
not
for
12
1 month?
months. No, free trial is not 12 months. Services are for 12 months, but you need some kind of a subscription to use free services as well. Free trial is only for 30
Okay.
days.
Okay.
Yeah, hi Kiran. I have a
Mhm.
small doubt.
Go ahead, please.
As it is mentioned, like all the services are given for free for this free trial.
Mhm.
Is there any limit for services like packages and limit? As in compared to AWS, we have a free trial which
Mhm.
gives Linux. Like that. Do we have any limited services like that, or we have all the services?
Yes, you have a limitation, meaning per a service, there is a hard limit that is set by Azure. So in a free trial, you probably cannot create more than, let's say, somewhere 2 or 3 virtual machines or something like that. So there is a limit out there, which we'll talk about when we create a resource. So in order to, let's say, explain the limits, I have to tell, let's say, a resource as such. But just to give you an idea, when you talk about a resource like called virtual machine, there's a limit there that you cannot create more than 2 or 3 virtual machine services in a free trial. There's a service called storage account. You cannot create more than 5 or 6 storage accounts in, let's say, a free trial as such. So yes, there is a hard limit that is set by Azure since it's being a free trial subscription as such.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, any more questions here, guys?
Yeah, Kiran, in a form of credit, we are getting the free trial 14,999, right?
Right.
Yeah, so in that we exceeded the price, okay, services, so the account will
Okay.
automatically disabled or what?
Yes, the account will get automatically disabled. It's either 30 days or expiration of 14,999, whichever happens first. So
Okay,
either
okay,
30-day
Kiran,
period
okay, got
or
it.
14,999 exhausted. How the credit is calculated? It's calculated per a service. Meaning, if you are
Yeah, yeah,
using, example, a service called a virtual machine, that service will cost you somewhere around 7 rupees per an hour. So that 7 rupees is deducted from that 14,999. So whatever you use per a month, it'll get automatically be deducted from that particular 14,999 as such. Yes.
Okay, if we
got it.
require after 30 days, do we need to
Just come back.
create another account?
Yes, after 30 days, you will have to create another account, either being a pay as you go or a free trial. If you have another credit card, you can go for another free trial as such.
Okay.
Yes, I'll take, yeah.
The
hmm
subscription is a
Just give me a second. I'm sorry. Sorry to cut you, but just give me a second. I was just taking a question offline. I'll just come back to you. Yes. Okay. Okay. The question here is that if I have a free trial, it's only for 30 days. I've stored a lot of data inside it. After 30 days, it got disabled. How to retrieve it? After the 30-day period, Microsoft gives you an additional 3-month period to go ahead and retrieve your resources. Until then, they won't delete it. After the let's say meaning you have a 30-day plus 3 months, meaning 4 months totally to retrieve your resources. After the 4-month period is when you won't be able to retrieve anything. All the resources will get deleted. You need to activate it and etc. Yes. So 3 months is let's say a grace period. You can go ahead and retrieve all your resources. Meaning you have images, you stored a lot of things out there. You can retrieve all those things as such. Yes, someone online had a question. I'm sorry to cut you out. Is someone online had a question here? Okay. So before we actually get started with let's say Azure and Azure DevOps and etc., this is something that we need. A portal, a subscription with Azure is something that we need. Secondly, we'll need to understand that over a period of time, right, there'll be a lot of services that we'll be, let's say, visiting across. So the question that a lot of students will have right in the first day is that should I make my own notes? Should I take notes, let's say, during the class? Or should I go ahead and let's say, do you provide the notes and etc.? Now, what I would say is that any product comes with its own documentation. Microsoft Azure is it's a product, let's say by Microsoft. It comes with its own documentation. You can look at that documentation here in something called docs.microsoft.com. This is something that I'll be again and again coming back to because this is like a Bible for Azure. Like whatever you call this is like a Bible for Azure out here because this will have all the product documentation. And as of now, docs.microsoft.com has all the documentations for all the products that are supported by Microsoft. Let's say you have .NET, you have gaming and etc., Xboxes and all these things, right? But I am interested in a product called Azure. This is what I will look at. This is what I will look at, and this is what I'll let's say get started with Azure. It has a lot of services. It has a lot of documentations available on the offer, and it has a lot of things out here. For example, let's say you want to understand now. Today we are just looking at what is a tenant and what is a subscription. You want to let's say see what is an Azure subscription, which I let's say very much suggest you all to do. So if you say what is an Azure subscription, let's scroll down and let's say Azure subscription box. You'll normally have this thing called Azure subscription and all these things. And how do you create Azure subscription? What do you do to let's say get an Azure subscription and all these things? So whatever that I let's say deliver out here, whatever is the lecture that I deliver out here, I'll substitute that with a documentation and also the videos that anyway ways getting shared. But it's very important for us to read this documentation. The reason that I'm telling that we need to read this documentation is that this product is very dynamic. Like I've been with this product since let's say 2015 16 time, etc. This product has grown let's say leaps and bounds. Like we did not have so many services back in 2014 15 and etc. So when the product grows, when you need let's say a new service that's there on the portal, when you need to understand what is that particular service, you need to get through the documentation. You need to go ahead and understand what is this documentation. So you need this particular documentation link. So it's very important for us to let's say start right away to understand what is this documentation. Let's say for example, you don't know how to create an Azure subscription. Let's say how to create Azure subscription, and you have a doc.microsoft.com telling you how do you create the subscription, where do you go there with all these links and etc., and what do you get with all these things out there. So this is how we need to use the documentation. It doesn't mean that you read everything every day, no, Don't do that because it's literally thousands and thousands of pages. You cannot really read that out. If you read it, you'll end up doing a PhD on Azure, which I don't want you all to do. This is something that you need to do. You'll need to specify your query. Google search is something which is very, very important, guys. And believe me, in the IT industry, 80 or 90% of people live on Google search. If there's no Google, there's no IT. It's like that. So it's very important for us to do a proper Google search to understand what are the keywords to, kind of hit. And my keyword here was, let's say, create Azure subscription. How to create an Azure subscription? Just a general question, and I'm getting a documentation. Always and always rely upon the documentation provided by Microsoft. It says create your free account today and all these things out, and it's telling you how to create it, start free, and all these things out. So very important to go ahead and do this documentation. Please make sure that whenever you're doing a documentation out here, please make sure that you're substituting along with the video and then you do a documentation as such. Okay, any questions there, guys?
Hello, sir.
Go ahead, please.
After the free trial of 30 days, the amount can be cut on credit card bill.
As I said, no. Auto debit is not there as of now. Amount will not be automatically debited. So your subscription will be disabled. So you don't have to worry really about the auto debit part as such.
Okay, debit card. When we are getting a message, the credit card limit is 2 lakhs showing.
You will get a
When we
message
pay,
telling that it's called a standing instruction. It's called a standing instruction out here, which is a standard practice followed by any cloud provider today or anyone provider today.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
That is called as a standing instruction, which they'll tell you that a bank will send you a message telling that we have a standing instruction from Microsoft that in case, let's say you go ahead and convert your subscription to a pay as you go later, and in case you breach or in case, let's say you kind of, let's say, create or create resources, don't pay for Azure. Azure has the power to go ahead and automatically debit from your account. So that's the standing instruction what Azure takes you from, let's say, the banking organization as such. But that happens for a pay as you go, not for a free trial. Again, when I'm talking about your subscriptions here, very importantly, you need to have a tenant. How do you get a tenant? Again, go to portal.azure.com, link your ID, get a tenant, then create a subscription of a type called free trial. And in case you're interested in another type of a subscription, which is called pay as you go, pay as you go is like a postpaid connection that you are not charged anything upfront. There is no charge, there's nothing that you are, let's say, charged out here. But on a month, let's say you are using somewhere around 300 rupees per month. At the end of your billing cycle is always calculated from the day you create your subscription. Today, let's say, is 18th, and 17th will be my billing cycle. 17th of the next month will be my billing cycle, and 17th is the next month where I need to go ahead, pay again, give my OTP and all these things. But again, there is no auto debit out here. So here again, there is no limit, there is no 30-day, there is nothing. It's a lifelong subscription. It's a lifetime. You pay for the resources you use. So you pay for the resources that you use at the end of your billing cycle. This is what you get with a pay as you go subscription as such. Now, my question for everyone is that, what, I have a subscription. You created a subscription in your account. That subscription is called free trial subscription. Can you go ahead and add one more subscription under the same tenant? Yes, no, maybe.
No.
So this is what I am. Yeah. So this was the question. You have a tenant.
Sir, have a question.
Yes, please. Shivaram, I'm getting a lot of echo at your end. Can you please type your question, please?
Okay, sir.
I can't hear anything.
Hi Kiran, are you there?
Then we are unable to hear your voice.
I'm sorry, I muted myself. Okay, is it okay now? Is it good now? Okay.
Yeah, fine, Kiran.
IL.
Yes.
Okay, great.
Sir,
Yes.
please
So
come
this is,
again, sir.
yeah, yeah. This is what I was telling is that I have a subscription called free trial. Let's say when you create, you have a subscription called free trial out here. My question is that can you go ahead and add one more subscription out here in under your tenant, which is not a free trial? If it's a free trial, no. Blunt, no, you cannot do that. If it's a pay as you go, so you're doing free and pay at the same time. Can you do that? No. Yes. No. Maybe.
No.
No. Okay. So the
Yes.
answer here is yes. You
No.
can do that. I mean, I'm telling that it is yes. You can do that. You can add multiple subscriptions under your account, provided it's not a free trial. You can add any number of subscriptions under the same tenant, meaning you can have multiple subscriptions like this. You can have one more, let's say, pay as you go, or one more enterprise subscription, and so on and so forth. Anything. But my point is that does an organization have multiple subscriptions, or do they have one subscription? They will they will normally have multiple subscriptions. Now, why do you need multiple subscriptions then? Resources, multiple resources. Yes. Okay. Anything else? Anyone? Anything else? Extra services? Not really. Each and every subscription is built the same way. It will have the same amount of resources and everything. So the point here is that why do organizations really go out here? Is that this is the diagram of a tenant, of an Azure tenant. So till now I was writing as a tenant. I'm now giving it as a diagram called tenant out here. Let's say this tenant belongs to a company called Tata. Okay, now Tata decided that, you know what, I'll move to the Azure cloud. And Tata went ahead and created one subscription with Azure. And under this subscription, Tata plans to move all its resources, all its data onto the cloud. When I say resources, let's assume that it's data for now. Tata has a lot of data. They want to move it all to this particular subscription out here. And what data they have? They have data coming out of three different companies called Tata Steel, Tata Motors, Tata Capital. Tata can have multiple subsidiaries under it, right? Now I'm telling all the data from all those companies are moved to one particular subscription here. And Tata is now not comfortable here. Reason being, I am now clubbing all the data and putting it one place, which is not right, because each and every entity has its own norms, has its own, let's say, jurisdiction and everything. So Tata now needs some kind of a separation under Azure. That's where Microsoft tells you that, you know what, create multiple subscriptions, each for one particular company as such, which will help you get a, let's say, a watertight separation between different companies, and you can segregate your data. That's where you will need multiple subscriptions out here. One subscription can be associated with one particular company. So let's talk about Steel, Motors, and Capital. let's say one company subscription is called Tata Steel, the other is called Tata Motors, the other is called Tata, let's say, Capital. Come on, let's say Capital out here. If I do this, I will now have a flexibility to tell that the employee of a Tata Steel can only log into the Azure subscription of Tata Steel. The employee of Tata Motors, Tata Motors and not Steel, and not vice versa. I can now achieve this particular, let's say, segregation if I go for multiple subscriptions out here. Is it any separate cost if you create one more subscription? No, there is no cost. You can create subscription at a zero, let's say, without even paying anything to Azure. But if you created resources inside this subscription, that's when your cost will now get, let's say, generated. And all the cost that gets generated at 1, 2, and 3, these 3 subscriptions are billed at a tenant level. So Tata as a parent company pays for all these things out here. This is called as a tenant subscriber model. We call this as a single tenant multi-subscriber model out here, because there's one tenant and you have multiple subscriptions out here. Most of the companies fall under this particular bucket, wherein you are working for, let's say, a company called Microsoft. Microsoft has multiple wings like HR, R&D, and everything. They can segregate these subscriptions, and under a subscription, I can now start adding multiple users. That is where I'm now coming down to, is that you have multiple employees right now. You can do user management under each and every subscription. I mean, you can add only employees of one particular company under one subscription, the other company at the other subscription. And when an employee logs in, he'll only be able to log into this particular subscription. Azure Active Directory will take care of all your authentication and everything. This is what I'm actually getting into. Any questions still here, guys?
Yeah, I have one question here. So,
Go ahead, please.
can a user under one subscription can access the resources and other subscription under the same tenant? Meaning,
If the tenant,
let me put the question in a different way. What is the difference between if this Tata Steel, Motors, and Capital, assume they three have different individual subscriptions in one scenario, and now this scenario they have the subscriptions under one tenant. What is the main difference between these two models?
see, a tenant is your space, meaning yes, you can have different tenants and different subscriptions also, not a problem. You can do multiple tenants, meaning if Tata wants, let's say, telling that, what, I need different tenants, meaning Tata is telling that, what, I need absolute separation, I don't even need these subscriptions to be here, and I need different tenants out here. You can still go with that. But the issue here with different tenants is that your administrative headache kind of goes up, because you have multiple tenants to manage, you have multiple billings that's getting generated, so you don't really have a control on where your billing is getting generated and how you're billing, how you can control and what you can do there. But whereas when you have one subscription, to answer to your question part A, can the user in Tata Motors be able to access, let's say, resources in Tata Steel? Yes, if Tata allows you to do that. Meaning you can also do cross subscription, you can also do cross tenants. So there is not really a lot much difference between having multiple tenants in each and every subscription under it, or single tenant and multiple subscriptions under it. But the advantage that you get with a single tenant and multi-subscriber model is that from an administrative perspective, it's easier for me to manage one tenant when compared to 100 different tenants. Can you attain a watertight separation? Yes, I can attain a watertight separation. I can let the users log in such a way that user 1 will only have access to Steel, user 2 will only have access to another subscription, user 3 will have an access to another subscription, and so on and so forth, which falls under a broad category called role-based access controls. Which we will talk about in which we will talk about in the coming sessions out here.
Excuse me. If I if you require, then if you require, can we access the data from other subscription model? Like if Steel requires the data from Motors.
Definitely yes, you can access, provided you have the right access there. If you have the proper access, then yes, you can access it out.
Okay.
Yes, any more questions here, guys?
Yeah. Kiran,
Uh,
is this
Sorry,
employees can have can also call as
Vinay,
tenant
can
here?
you? Yeah, sorry, Vinay, can you just give me 1 second? I was just taking a question offline. I'll just come back to you.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
please go ahead. Crash or something? No, it won't. No, won't. You can have. Go ahead, please. No, tenant is a space. Subscription is there, and under subscription you can have multiple users. Let's say accessing the same tenant at one go, but it won't crash. The reason being, again, you have something called the Azure tenant is running. We'll talk about that. What the Azure tenant is. But to give a short answer, no, it won't conflict or it won't crash as such. Yes, Vinay, please go ahead. You had a question.
Yeah. So the employees who are accessing these subscriptions, okay,
Mhm. Okay.
are they also should have the tenant IDs for them, or will be a separate user
Well,
profile they can
the
access?
employees, yes, they have to come under a tenant. Meaning, if I go under my tenant into my Azure tenant out here, there's something called users. The employee has to be here. The employee has to be registered under the tenant to get access to whatever subscriptions that I need to give him.
Okay.
Owner of, let's say, the subscription, etc. We'll talk about what are the roles that are there. Yes, we'll talk about what are the roles that gets assigned when you go into a subscription, etc.
Okay, got it.
So yeah, this
Actually,
side
my
Abhishek.
question was like when a person logins, so he will have his own credentials to log in, right? So will I thought that the
Yes,
person will have
exactly.
again a tenant ID for him, but yeah, I mean, so
A
it
person,
should it
yes,
should
will
be
have
used.
his own login.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, a person, you can create a login, meaning this is my admin credential. I don't share this admin credential to anyone. If I want to add someone, I can add their ID, I can invite them, they can log in with their account, their credential, and they will have a separate role that they can have access to.
Okay,
So it's a
okay,
role based
okay,
access. That's the reason we say it's a role based access control, which
got it.
your
Kiran,
administrator. Yes.
yeah,
So yeah,
Kiran,
I
Someone
have
had a
one
question.
question.
do we
Go ahead,
need
please.
to provide the read access to outsides or what type of access we have to provide to them?
Which we will talk in role-based access controls. So role-based access control, I
Okay.
need one entire class. So tomorrow's session will take role-based access control. We'll talk about what are the roles that gets assigned and all these things out there. And a couple of questions offline is that can you please explain how to retrieve the data? As you said, explain again as end of the class. Again, how do you retrieve the data, for which I need to explain what is a subscription, what is the data firstly. Now to hold the data, I need to explain some services. Only then I'll be able to explain how to retrieve the data and all these things. How many subscription can we have under one tenant? Any number of subscriptions until it's not a free trial. You can only have at max one free trial under a tenant. After a free trial gets expired, you'll have to go for a pay as you go. You will have to go for, let's say, something like Visual Studio Enterprise subscriptions and all these things out there. So at max, one free trial. If you talk about the other subscriptions like pay as you go, n number of pay as you goes, there is no limit.
So I have one question.
Go ahead, please.
So like tenants are automatically created once we create a Azure account. So like is there any way what we are doing, like we are creating a subscription by going to subscription column. So is there any way we can create a tenant?
Is there a way you can create a tenant? Yes, you can also create a tenant. Let's say you have a tenant. You say, sorry. Let's say in let's escape this out. Yes, you have a tenant. You can go ahead and, let's say, manage your tenants and create your tenants also. Like I have multiple
Okay.
tenants out here. I can also go ahead and create a new tenant.
Okay.
You can also go ahead and create a new tenant using the ID and all these things out. Yes. Any more questions, guys?
Hello.
So today's go ahead, please. Yeah, go ahead, please. Fine.
Yeah. So basically, you mean to say the rest of the today, that is the summary of today's session is that like when we create an Azure account, first of all we need to create a we will get the tenant ID, and then
Correct.
we need to create a Azure subscription. And after
Correct.
we create the subscription, uh, like we can also create multiple subscriptions under it, right?
Correct.
That depends from organization to organization. But like as you
Depends
said,
on.
like it all depends on the role-based access control. Whether
Correct.
a particular person are we can do like what is it? Whether let's take an example. There are two subscription under a particular subscription A and B. Okay, so the resources, the people in subscription A, that all depends whether we have given the required privilege or not. That is whether they can access the resources in subscription B or not, right?
It depends upon the role. If they have a role in subscription B, they can have access to subscription B resources as well, which we will talk about in role basis, like what is a role in Azure. We'll have to start, let's say, a very fresh topic on what is a role in Azure. How do you create a role in all these things out? So that's something we'll be covering in tomorrow's session as such. Yes, any more questions, guys, before we close? Anyone, any questions before we close? Okay, and today's, guys,
No, sir.
yeah, and the today assignment, what you all have today is that please go ahead, create a subscription under Azure. Please go ahead, create a tenant, at least create a tenant subscription. You can, let's say, create in a 1 or 2 classes as such, but try to create a subscription today. And it's not mandatory that each and everyone has a subscription of your own. You can share your subscriptions. As I said, you can have multiple users under a subscription. You can share it. Multiple users can use a free trial at one go. So you can, if let's say you have good amount of friends in this class, one of you all can create, preserve the next subscription for the next month, and so on and so forth. You can ration it in that way. Okay, but try to have a subscription, because we will need a subscription to do anything on Azure. So we will need at least one subscription to do anything on Azure. So please have a subscription, and we can now start, or we can from tomorrow start what are roles and what are resources in Azure, and we can start from there. Okay, good, please. You will have a read access there. After 30 days, you'll only have a read access. You can just see your resources. After the 30, you cannot really interact with them, so they'll be lost. You will have to recreate it in a new, let's say, subscription as such. Okay, guys, and that's it from my end. Thank you, and yes, we will meet tomorrow, and we will start with, let's say, the core of the cloud, like user management and all these things. Okay, thanks, guys.